My father was curator of decorative arts at the National Museum, and when I was 16 or 17, he took me around to visit weaving studios. So I had actually 3 tremendous mentors, and one of them I apprenticed for. Her name was Alice Lund, and her firm still exists because over the last 30 years I have given work for them to do for my American clients. And I've essentially kept them going, and also the spinners and dyers. And the other was my teacher, Edna Martin, at the School of Arts and Crafts. And the third person was a woman by the name of Astrid Sampe, who was actually an industrial designer more. And she had a handbag that also served as her office. And she would network and connect people every day, everywhere she went. She would make sure that people who could do things together got to know each other, and she was fantastic. I have myself focused on doing big work for public spaces because I think you spend so much time weaving a tapestry that it's not really worth it unless a lot of people can see it. Of course, Montreal is only 6 hours from New York City, and if you are an immigrant to the North American continent, you don't really think you've arrived until you've seen New York. So I had to go to New York. I had taken a freighter from Gothenburg to Montreal, and then in February of '65 I took a Greyhound bus to Boston and met a woman who was a graduate of Cranbrook. So I heard about Cranbrook. I discovered books about the Shakers I'd never heard of, so between Cranbrook and the Shakers. And then we went down, we went to Eero Saarinen's office in New Haven, and we met a woman whose name was Mitchell, her last name, and she had been married to one of the teachers at Cranbrook, and in fact knew my husband who I had yet to meet. So the first person I met, on my first trip to America, I met a person who knew the man I was going to marry. So I arrived in New York, and there the Consul General, Tore Tallroth, and his wife were also friends of my family, and he was in New York like 14 years as a Consul General, and he cultivated connections with all the arts and the crafts in New York. Tore Tallroth, the Consul General, said to me, "You got to meet Aileen Webb, who started me." So I went and had lunch with her. And of course she connected with me then because she was also very interested in the Swedish. I think she partly looked to Scandinavia when she started this organization. Very interesting, very bright and energetic, and with a goal, and really a great woman, obviously, the way she brought this forth. One man who was a very big person in the Swedish design movement was the name Åke Hult, and he had been the head of the Swedish Form, now it's called Form magazine, but it used to be called Svenska Slöjdföreningen, and it was an organization to protect design, promote design, started in 1847. And he retired and moved to New York because he could not sit still. And he became very friendly with Aileen Webb. And she at that time was so old that she didn't go to work anymore, but he would drive her, be her chauffeur. And I think they had a ball. They went around everywhere. And he, of course, we would see him too, so we'd hear about these trips.